If you've been watching my YouTube series on building this garage for the purposes of seeing how to do something, you don't want to watch this video. This video is more about my thoughts about things, how I did some stuff, why I did certain things, things that I found to be more challenging than I thought, or things that I thought were going to be challenging and turned out not to be. So I'll start with the foundation. So doing the concrete work, because of my job, I found that I didn't have the time to rent the concrete forms to do the stem walls. So I hired a guy to do the footers and the stem walls for the garage. And it turned out pretty well. I was really happy with what they did, and they were really, really fast, which was good. I did do the flat work, as you saw in my video. I'm not a professional at doing concrete. I just find that I'm usually not willing to pay people to do that type of stuff for me. This is probably the 5th or 6th, no, I guess it might be 7th or 8th time I've done flat work. I wish I would have rented a power trowel. I rented a power trowel the time before this when I did concrete, and it worked really well. And I thought, oh, this will be a small amount. I don't need a power trowel. Well, hindsight's 2020, and I wish I'd rented a power trowel. It would have turned out a little bit better, I think. I also wanted to mention that I did underestimate the amount of concrete I needed. As you can see behind me, there is a concrete mixer sitting there, and bags of concrete sitting right here. All this concrete and this concrete mixer right there are to fill in this area here. We underestimated the amount we needed, and I ended up having to stop the board there, and now I have to hand mix that and pour it because it's not really enough to justify hauling a concrete truck out here for. I hate hand mixing concrete. It's terrible. It's easy to do. It's just that's not true. It's not easy to do. It's hard to do. It's laborious. It just doesn't take a lot of skill. That's what I'll say. So something else that I didn't talk a lot about, and I wish I kind of would have, is this electrical panel and this pressure tank. When I poured the original foundation, which was a 20 by 24 slab, I intended on building that size of garage, a 25 by 20 garage. And at the time, I put some electrical conduits in the ground, some stuff that I'm gonna have to rework later. It's, in hindsight, I shouldn't have done that, but at the time it made sense, even though once I had the house built, we decided to go build this much bigger garage, which is much nicer. So what you're looking at behind me, that electrical panel and that pressure tank, were inside of a temporary pump house that I had on this existing slab, and then I built the garage around them. That has proved to be pretty problematic. I wasn't able to put the sheeting up like I thought. Moving the electrical didn't turn out to be as hard as I thought it was going to be. However, when we applied for the shear wall inspection, the county inspector told me that I had to get a re-inspect done on the electrical panel, which I actually called for, and they're supposed to be out here in the next couple of days to take care of. What I wish I would have done is actually built a very small permanent pump house over the top of the wellhead with a removable roof. All hindsight, right, 2020. So that pressure tank is actually going to be permanently mounted in the corner. When I'm all said and done, this pressure tank will go back into this corner and back here, about towards that wall, about a foot in, back about 6 inches, and we'll end up redoing the plumbing piping. And I'll make a video about all of that, but then I'll get it back out of the way, and eventually there'll be a workbench along here and some kind of cover to cover this thing up, and I'll build it pretty structurally sound so I can stack stuff on top of it. Obviously stay 24 inches away from the electrical panel. By code, you're required to be able to access your electrical panel. Not that you wouldn't want to, so that's kind of my plan of what I plan on doing with that pressure tank. It's an 80-gallon tank, and with the amount of, the pressure tank only holds half the volume of water that the tank is rated for, so 80 gallons holds 40 gallons of water. it just weighs too much to put up in the air, which is what I originally thought about doing, but it's just not the best plan. So I hope that kind of explains the issues I was having and my thought process there, and so on and so forth. One of the things that I was really nervous about doing was installing this garage header. It's really large. It weighs a ridiculous amount. And I thought about it and thought about it and couldn't tried to come up with a great way to put it up there that was going to be super safe, and it really just came down to it. And I used the tractor, and we took about 10 minutes to figure out a way to hold it on the pallet forks, and we set it up there, and it worked pretty well. Could have been a little safer, maybe. Overall, it went drastically better than I thought it was going to. That's one of the challenges of only having my dad help me out here most of the time. My brother and my cousins and some other folks that I know come over every once in a while to help out, but it's primarily just me and my dad working on the garage. As far as the header goes, it went in, and I stressed out about it up until the day we installed it, and it was really no reason to stress out about it. It went in really well. You can go back a couple of videos and see how that went in, and there were no real issues with it. So we went on vacation down to Oregon a couple of weeks ago, and because of the time frame and work and everything else, I actually ended up paying a company to install the roofing. I don't have any video of that. I wish I would have, but I wasn't home. I was on vacation. They did a great job, and they were in and out in one day. I paid them cash, which didn't reduce the price, but they did a really good job, and the price was fair. So the roof's on. I'll show you that. So that was the roof, and like I said, I feel that they did a really good job. No complaints about that whatsoever. I'm going to do the gutters myself. I'll just go down to probably Home Depot or Lowe's or one of those places and pick up some of the gutters they have, and I'll put them on myself. As you saw in my other videos, I put the downspout piping in myself. Yeah, that pretty much finishes off most of the roof. It was frustrating when I ended up having to install the eye pit, the infiltration pit that's actually right out here under the ground. Per the county requirements, I had to install one for the garage. It wasn't too expensive, a few $100s worth of gravel and some piping. Took some time, had to dig it all out with the tractor. I did that back in, would have been late February, early March, so it was pretty cold out. Rained a lot, but we got that all taken care of. It's sort of frustrating that the new requirements in this county have changed so much in relation to the eye pits, because now you end up with these sediment pots or catch basins, or I don't know, I've heard them call it a couple different things, but this is what they look like. All right, so you've got this catch basin here, which is required to be a certain distance from the garage, and then you got this big old black nasty lid sticking up out of the ground, and I plan on pouring some other concrete out here and putting some plants around it so you can't see it quite as much. I found that this is really only a requirement in Kitsap County. Once again, the county is interesting to deal with, I'll say. I found that once you've built here and gone through all the processes and hassle once, it's a lot easier, but it still seems a little overkill in most cases for what they require. One of the other things I did while we were building this garage, even though I have my house pretty close and I have a garage down there I could have stored all my tools in, this is actually my dad's box trailer. I have a box trailer I store my other stuff in. It's a lot bigger. It's an enclosed car trailer, but this is a light duty enclosed box trailer, and it's 14 by 7, I believe it is. And as you can see behind me, I stored all my tools in here during the build, and they were right here, right next to the garage. I was able to leave my air compressor in here, and I have a basically one plug-in that I just drag out, and I plug this into my power, and then everything in here is powered. I have the air compressor, I have lights in here that run off of this also. So if it was dark or working late, or back in January when I was out here working at 5 o'clock at night, I would have lights in there to see what I was doing. Able to store the chop saw and all, just everything we have in there. I kind of hung everything up neat and organized so that I would be able to take it out quickly and put it back quickly. It just it worked really well to be able to not spend so much time cleaning up every night, so I would get more done on the garage. Yeah, so this trailer, if you have access to something like this, if you're going to build a garage or anything really, just came in incredibly handy. And the other thing is I was able to move it, right? I didn't have a permanent structure somewhere around the garage. I was able to move this. I had it on the other side of the garage at one point in time, and then when we were framing that wall, I moved it over here, and this is pretty much where it's been most of the time. I'm actually getting ready to move it again here shortly because I have to do some other work in front of it, but totally separate from the garage build. Just a faster and easier way to deal with the tools and materials than leaving them outside for one, or having to take them all the way down to the house every day. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was positioning of the garage. So I'm on the left side of the garage, and on the left side of the garage I have my wellhead right here. Now by Kitsap County requirements, this wellhead has to be a certain distance from any structure. I believe it was 12 feet, don't quote me on that, and I'm just over that. So I was limited on what I could do there. And then again, if I can get my camera to change focus here. There we go. I was limited by my property line back here. I'm on 2.5 acres, but because I had poured a concrete slab already before I built the house, and we put the wellhead here, and I had my temporary well house down, I was limited on where I felt I could put the garage, and that in turn limited me on how big the garage could be because of the wellhead and the property lines. And what I'm going to show you on the other side, which is the permanent remote meter for my house, which also supplies power to the garage. So you can see the back of it there. If I change my exposure one more time for you. So you can see the back of it there, right? So that is my permanent remote meter. And I could have gone closer to the meter. I could have gone another 5 feet closer. In retrospect, I wish I would have. Just to give myself some more space in the garage. But the size of the garage I built was convenient for sizing of sheeting and how the truss is laid out and concrete costs and some other things also. So I was kind of limited on what I was able to do size-wise for the garage based on the wellhead, the property line, the permanent remote meter, and also the driveway down to the house. So I'm walking around the other side of the garage here, and I'm going to try to show you this. So there's my driveway coming up from the dirt road, and that comes up and it goes right in front of the garage, the new garage. So the garage is here, and this is the driveway going down to the house. So I was kind of limited. I couldn't really come out more this way because I wanted a nice area. I'm going to eventually put concrete out here. I wanted a nice area to be able to park and get out of the way of the driveway and make sure that I didn't block anybody in if I chose to park out here. So basically, for one reason or another, on all 4 sides of the garage, I was limited. In hindsight, I wish I had relocated the garage somewhere else. It would have cost me a lot more. I would have ended up wasting the concrete I had poured before I built the house, which is roughly about $1,000 plus a lot of labor. But it would have probably been better. I think this is okay. The siding and the paint colors and the type of roofing are going to match the house, so it'll look good. It'll match the house, and when I'm done with the dirt work and planting the grass and some other stuff, it'll be pretty nice. But I wish I could have gone bigger. The garage is 28 feet deep by 32 feet wide. I would have liked to have gone probably 32 feet by 40. Would have been, I think, a little better. Even bigger than that would have been a lot nicer. I considered putting it actually down. Try to show you this. So there's the house, and on that side of the house where my trailer is at, right down there's this big open area, and I could have made it a lot bigger with my tractor, and I considered putting the garage down there. But logistically, having to run power and water down to that would have been painful at best. So we chose not to. One of the other things I wanted to talk about was the tractor. So I own a Kubota L3200. I bought it, I guess it's been almost 3.5, almost 4 years now, 4 years ago. And we bought it to build the house with, this house. And it's almost paid for itself in the amount of stuff that I've done with it. I mean, I dug my house hole with it, as you saw in some of my other videos, and I obviously did all the dirt work for the garage, and I've been able to dig the trenches for power and water and foundations, and the rock wall, retaining wall, and just a lot of other stuff. I've also been able to help other people out. My brother's got my tractor currently most of this summer. He's working on building his own house, and I've helped a couple of my aunts and uncles out and some friends at work. So it's been really convenient to have. I realize it's a huge expense, but if you're considering doing something, let me rephrase that. If you're only going to build one garage or build one house, it probably doesn't make financial sense to buy a tractor. We don't plan on doing that. We actually plan on developing another 5 acres we have, and eventually selling this one and redoing it again on another piece of property. I also like doing the type of work. I like having the tractor. I like driving the tractor. I find that you end up using it for all sorts of crazy things that you never thought you would. Once I got the pallet forks for it, as you saw in some of my videos, I used it to install the headers on the garages, right? And that's super convenient. We used it to put the sheeting up on the roof. Again, super convenient. Moving material around out here on this job site, I don't have many videos of that, but I have a stack of pallets, and I put stuff on them, and I'm just able to move it around with the tractor, and it's very convenient to utilize a tractor in that way. And I've also been able to move my trailers around with my tractor. I'm sure you've seen other videos or things of that nature. The tractor is something I thought I would sell after I built the house. Turns out I'm not going to sell it. I'll keep it till it breaks and just is no good for probably another 10, 20 years. It's definitely, if you own any kind of acreage, it's definitely worth the investment. My most recent attachment for it is actually a brush hog. I might make a video about that actually. It's kind of a neat implement, and it works very well, and it's easy to maintain long dirt driveways with. So now that I'm talking about it, I'll probably end up going to making a video about it. But yeah, tractor's definitely been a huge help in building this garage. So as you can see right there, that is I think it's Brennan or Brano, I'll have to look it up, time-lapse camera. When I built my house, I used a game cam to make a time-lapse movie of my house build. I wanted to do a time-lapse video of the garage build, and I wanted to make it a little better than my house time-lapse. So I went and bought a time-lapse camera specifically for that, and then I made that little 2x4 mount, and the camera actually came with a waterproof case, which I was able to mount up there on the tree. I'm going to zoom back, and you'll get an idea of where that camera is located. So it's about 30 40 feet away from the garage. I'll spin around here and show you the garage. Oh, there's me. So there's the garage. The time-lapse camera, when I did the house, the cameras were difficult to use at best, I'll say. I had to constantly change out the batteries in them every couple of days and constantly take out the video chip in there and upload it to my computer. That camera, I can run it for about 20 days without touching it. It takes pictures a lot in a higher resolution and more frequently than the other camera I have. And it seems to be doing really well at documenting the garage build. I'll post that video at the very end of all of this, and hopefully it turns out well. It's been kind of a unique thing. I go upload the pictures about every 20 days, and then I edit out the days in that video that I don't do anything, which is usually during the work week. And then the days where we do a lot of stuff, I'll slow those videos down so that it is easier to see what's happening. And I'm about 70% way on the garage, so I'm about 70% done with the time-lapse video, and it's coming out pretty well. If anybody wants to see the time-lapse videos so far, go ahead and leave a comment down below, and I might upload it to my channel for a few days so you could go take a look at what I've got so far if you're interested. But I'm not going to leave it up for very long until I get it completely done. But it might give you an idea of how that works and in process how to set the camera maybe. You know, if you're interested in the time-lapse video, leave a comment and I will make a video specifically about the type of camera, the settings on the camera, the duration of how often the shots are taken, how I deal with the weather, how I built the stand, and so on and so forth. So if you're interested, leave a comment. So one of the things that has been kind of convenient for me is my daughter. She's come out here and helped me quite a bit with the filming, making the videos for the garage build. She's 7, and I've taught her how to use the cameras and the microphones and everything. She kind of gets a kick out of it. She makes me do the action and cut. So she kind of enjoys that. She's getting pretty good at running around and turning the cameras on and turning them off, and it's been kind of fun for her. She always, when are we going outside to work on the garage, Dad? When are we going outside? So that's been fun. I've been kind of fortunate that she's gotten into that. She was out here the other day and I wasn't filming because I was trying to figure some stuff out, and she got kind of bored, so she wanted me to make her something to keep her entertained. So I ended up making her this swing, which is behind me, right here. So I made her swing, and it's pretty much kept her entertained for, I don't know, a few days now since she's had it. If it holds me, it definitely holds her. So, well, I think that probably wraps up my thoughts about the garage build so far. It wraps up some of the things I wanted to explain in the video series. It kind of just covers everything that I think needs to be explained at this point. If you felt like I missed something or you want to know more about something specifically, by all means, leave a comment down below and I'll be more than happy to get back to you. If you want to see a video about something, or maybe I can go back and show you something I might have missed that would be helpful for you if you're trying to do this yourself. Yeah, so until the next video.